And I wanted to take a second to talk to you about what is upcoming, which is Christmas. And, it's not just about Christmas parties and shopping and wrapping gifts. So I want to talk about faith in particular. I know it's not a religious podcast, but it is, I think, appropriate given the season. I am Catholic. I put it in my bio in part because I got so tired of people calling me a fat Jew on Twitter. I thought that, oh, maybe they'll mix it up and call me a fat Italian, but it hasn't really worked out. Anyway, I am Catholic. I was born and raised in the faith. I briefly kind of walked away from it during college and the end of high school, I guess as a lot of people do, and came back to it on my own accord. And as I've continued to age and as I break down data a lot, I noticed how important matters of faith and religion are and how much they are like religion is like a muscle. So if you only go to the gym 2 or 3 times a year and you quit every few months, this is someone like me. If you're not super diligent, you're not going to see gains. You may be able to put off some weight, but you're not going to see gains like you are. And if you're somebody who only tepidly or randomly attends church and only prays really when the airplane's about to take off and the doors close, you're probably not educating yourself that much on faith. You're probably not developing a deep relationship. You're probably not. And I say this as a Catholic who both has done a lot of work on faith and still has a lot to do. So no judgment on it, but you're probably not getting to a place where you feel very strongly about it. And you can't get to a place of deep devotion, let alone exploring the really interesting things like mysticism or miracles or other stuff if you don't put the work in. And I know religion gets a very bad rap. People make a lot of false claims about religion that they're all the same or that they're responsible for all the history of all the wars in the world and that, they've only been negative. It's only been a negative institution that has worked to divide people and break down people and use for powerful men to just kind of control everything. So here are some numbers on why religion in your life, in your society is a force for good. Students who attend church as a high school senior more often are the most likely students to have A's. This has been true since 1976. 42% of millennials who attend church weekly are reported to be very happy, compared to just 22% who never attend church. The most likely person to attend church, by the way, is a college degree holder. According to the Manhattan Institute, they found that church attendance by Republicans is linked to lower levels of feeling of racism, anti-Semitism, and conspiracy theories. In other words, to attend church is to have a greater level of social trust than those who do not attend. Christians who attend Mass frequently are more likely to say it's good to be alive, that they are a person of worth, and the future doesn't seem like it's hopeless. Compared to zealot atheists, these are not people who just fall away from religion. These are people who actively hate religion. Those people have significantly more likely to say that life is hopeless and that they aren't very useful. You even see this in conversations with like Zoomers and millennials about children, those who want to have children and those who, maybe they can't find a partner, maybe they put it off, but they want to have children and they think that having children is important and good, versus those who say the world's so bad or that it's a plague on the world and the environment and the earth or whatnot. That's a very clear dividing line. And while religion is often correlated with poverty, and that's true on a global scale for sure, but in America in 2025, those who earn $100,000 a year are more likely to attend Mass than those who make less than $50,000 a year. And people who attend church frequently are more likely to give at least 2% of their income to charity. They're also more likely to live longer. And until the last decade across the board, they were more likely to have social trust. It's a little wonky in some data on social trust recently, but certainly before then, they were more likely to trust people who look differently than them and look the same as them. So if religion has all these benefits to society, these benefits to yourself, why don't people participate more and why are people doing it less and less? I think because it's difficult. It's easier to be lazy, which is why sloth is a sin. It's easier to, sleep in on a Sunday or go to the park or hang out with friends or watch the football game. It's difficult. It's time consuming. It's time to take out of yourself and put somewhere and put into someone else where you're not the center of attention, where you're not taking selfies, where you're not scrolling or doom scrolling or commenting snidely on Twitter like myself. You're placing your entire being in a different realm where you're really focused and you're really there and you're in that. I can't describe it anywhere else besides in that place. It's a special place where you're completely in tune with the Mass, with the music, with lighting of the candles, and with deep, deep prayer. And, I get why it's hard and I get why people who have doubts say it's not for me or I'll figure it out once I get older and once I have children. And a lot of people do, but some people don't. But if you're interested and if you're curious, It is like going to the gym. You have to really put the work in. I've always believed that faith is a journey. It's not a guilt trip. Nothing that I'm going to say is going to make you want to do it if you don't. But society, we as a people, and us individually are better. Even if you have doubts, even if you're sitting there and saying, I don't know if everything that my church says is true, it's important to go because we as a community are better when we go together. And those countries that don't have high levels of social trust, like especially the non-homogenous countries, not like Denmark or Norway, which is no religious attendance, but everyone is basically of the same cultural background that they're able to sit there and continue levels of high social capital, although that's decreasing incredibly at an incredibly fast rate because of immigration. But those who sit there and those people who have high levels of social trust is oftentimes correlated with religion. So I just would say this to my listeners: if you're looking back at the last year and saying, I had a great year, but I could have done some things differently. I could have read more. This is my biggest gripe, is I didn't read enough this year. Or you're saying to yourself, I didn't go to the gym enough, I gained too much weight. And look for a second at your spirituality. Look for a second at where you've put faith this year. Look for a second at how you've practiced and how you've shown yourself. Even if you say you're a Christian or you say you're proudly Jewish or whatnot, how did you display that to the world? How did you show that you are a leader of some sort in your everyday life? How did you push and promote that to other people without maybe being preachy? But I know in the last couple of years, I've had a lot of guys, young men, who've said to me, like, I'm really thinking about being Catholic. And I've always said, like, I'm here. I want to talk to you. If you want to talk to me, I'll tell you the ups, the downs, ins, out. I'm talking to one young guy right now who's 24 and he's evangelical. And he said to me, I'm thinking about becoming Catholic. And I say, let's talk about it. Let me show you by example and let me talk to you about the bigger things and help point you in that way if that's your place to be. So think about that and try to prioritize it for 2026. I think that maybe if we're trying to move to a healthier place, both as individuals and as a society, I think religion plays a big part in that. So not to sound preachy, not to sound like I got it all figured out, because Lord knows I don't. I think it's worth passing that message on as we're getting to the Christmas holiday and the Christmas season. So